asked the question beforehand, are you a rule keeper or a rule breaker? What side of that? I mean, it's not a binary question. You could sit somewhere in between. It probably depends on the circumstances. I'm probably the latter. Push against things. Well, that's a dumb rule. Let's do something different. And somebody who I suspect is also in that category joins me on the program now, John Cowan. Kia ora. Are you a rule
Yes, I'm a very naughty boy.
But we are today talking rules, and look, I'm on thin theological ice because there's a list of things that we shouldn't do. Apparently, there's
Yeah.
rules that there's the whole health and safety manuals in just about every aspect of life to keep us from running with scissors. Where would we be without all of those? There is some sense to some rules, but what's your thoughts on the topic, John?
Oh, I have got thoughts, whether they're valid or not, up to your listeners to actually say to judge on. My idea is that rules are training wheels.
Okay.
That rules, people say, oh, well, if you keep the rules around courtesy and safety and hygiene and work and everything like that, eventually they become second nature.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather think, let's make our rules derived from our first nature.
Okay.
Now, let me just give an example of that. I run this cycling group. If you've ever been held up by a large group of cyclists out on Auckland streets as these geriatric, wobbly cyclists weave in and out unpredictably in front of you, chances are it's my group.
You all
Okay?
look great in lycra,
There's,
though. Just keep cycling.
oh, yeah, yeah. Cycling is so much fun, especially since much more fun now that I've lost all will to live.
Yeah.
No, it ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. So these people enjoy that. And if you've ever joined a cycling group,
Mm-hmm.
they are often run by people that love rules. You know, you've got to do this and not park your bike there, and you've got to have this on your bike, and you can't overtake here. And they love their rules. In fact, there is a type of person that gets a glee from making rules. I joined actually, I'm going to dob them in because I think they're probably big enough to handle the criticism, a caravan club.
Oh, yeah.
And I just chuckled and laughed when I was going through their magazine about all the rules that they have and about how these committees that make the rules and love their rules and how to dob in people if they break the
Oh, yeah.
rules. And I've met people in church circles that are like that. I used to think of people, we used to nickname the deacons of my church the Find It and Stop It Brigade. You know, there are some people that get a glee from rules as if it's but the thing is, I don't see rules as the end purpose or
Okay.
the end product. And so with the cycling group, I tell my group there are two rules,
Mm-hmm.
and they are be safe and be nice.
Okay.
And I reckon every other rule that you can think of for cycling should derive from those two things. We are safe in that I do insist that people wear helmets and that
Yep.
they obey some of the road rules anyway, and that they look out for each other and they keep their bikes safe and things like that. So safety is important, but also so's nice, being kind to each other, but also respectful of the pedestrians on the paths we ride on and the other motorists using the roads and things like that. I reckon I can make up little examples of that as we're going along, but as long as they have that big goal in their mind of being safe and nice, just about all the cycling rules derive from it.
Yeah.
And when it came to parenting, one of the phrases that I remember someone say is never every good rule should be able to be prefixed with "because I love you."
Okay.
You know, because I love you, I don't want you to play with petrol and matches in the middle of the lounge. Because I love you, I don't want you out there in the middle of the road. Because I love you, and I think that, what's the big thing there?
Mm.
It's because I love you. And
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
love you, I want you to be able to go through life and have good relationships. I'm going to insist on some patterns of courtesy.
Yeah.
And I want you to have your teeth when you're old. So we're going to enforce the idea of brushing your teeth after the meal. I want you to do well at school. So I'm going to make sure you have a bedtime.
Yeah.
But every one of those rules can be prefixed with because I love you.
Now, a colleague of
And
yours, just wanting to bring some balance to the force, if you like. A colleague of yours, former colleague, I should say, Ian Grant, he said the 3 R's of fatherhood:
yeah,
rules, routine, and ridiculous. Because honestly, if you're all rules and no ridiculous, where's the fun in that? Actually, you got to bring both to the table, surely.
Yeah, I probably specialised in number 3, and Ian probably despaired of that. I went straight to the ridiculous. But no, because of my nature,
Yeah.
I'm not overly good at the routine.
Yeah.
But because I love my kids, I did make sure that they're protected and things like this. And the thing is, this can apply to ourselves as well. There are some people that perhaps you may have seen them at gyms where they get some, they are deriving some pleasure from doing their 30 reps on that device and pushing themselves to collapse on another thing and everything like this, as if the end point is keeping some routine, some rules and things like this. No, what's your big goal there? To be happy.
Yeah.
In a healthy body. And the same goes for so many things. In fact, I reckon that if being safe and being nice are good rules for cyclists, then I reckon being joyful and loving can pretty much sum up all the rules that we should have for ourselves. You know, why do we have rules around our finances and that? Well, because we want to be secure. There's a joy in being secure. Why do I bother checking the doors at night before going to bed? Because I love my wife and I want her to be safe and protected. Why do I, all these rules can boil down to that. I sometimes think that people think their life has to be lived on a narrow path. Circumscribed by rules in every corner. And maybe those people also like to join clubs and make rules for other people as well.
Caravan clubs in particular.
It's perhaps their nature. My idea of rules is that they are the fence of the playground. And there's an awful lot of playground that you can play in before you get anywhere near the fence. I started thinking about this when I started thinking about all the rules that we had in the 20th century. And if you're as old as me, then you can remember certain dumb rules, like supermarkets weren't allowed to sell milk.
What?
Because that was for dairies. Or milkmen. Milkmen and dairies sold milk. Supermarkets couldn't sell milk. Do you know what milk? This is true. Supermarkets used to get around it by selling milk-flavored milk, because they were allowed to sell flavored milk. And so there was, I don't know if it was very widespread, but some supermarkets anyway would flavor milk with a bit of condensed milk to give it a milk flavor. And they could sell milk-flavored milk. You weren't allowed to buy margarine in New Zealand before 1974 because there's a rule saying, no, you've got to eat butter. There were all sorts of rules, but I think I picked up probably something from my mother. You see, she was a lovely lady, but she very much embraced this idea. Rules without reasons lead to rebellion. She went to a co-ed high school back in the 1930s. And the boys and the girls, even though they went to the same school, were in separate areas of the school. And the girls were told that if a boy came into sight, they weren't allowed to look. Mum said to me, I looked. And I thought, I've never been so proud of you, Mum.
Well, that is good.
My mum, the rebel, the rule breaker.
Looking at boys.
Reasons lead to rebellion.
Exactly. No, some wonderful wisdom as always, John. And I'm glad your mum looked at boys. Otherwise, you might not be here for us to chat to today. And hey, thank you for what you do. Thanks for joining us once again.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.